Hey guys, today I'll be presenting moles. Moles is a word which represents a number. For example, dozen would represent the number 12. So in this case, moles represents the number 6 times 10 to the power of 23. This is called the Avogadro's number. It is very helpful in science because when counting grains, you can't just count them one by one. You would have to use this equation. So mole can be defined as the number of atoms. For example, 12 grams of 12 carbon. So 12 is the mass number and carbon is the element. This can all be found in the periodic table. So why don't you go check your periodic table and look for helium and neon. If you find those, helium would have a mass number of 4 grams and neon would have a mass number of 20 grams. So next we'll be learning about converting between moles, grams, and number of atoms or molecules. And this could be solved by using this equation. Moles is equal to mass over RFM, relative formula mass. So if we are given this equation, how many moles are there in 35 grams of calcium carbonate? And we check the periodic table. Calcium carbonate has a RFM of 100. So if we use this equation, it would be moles equal to 35, which is the number given in the equation already, 35 grams, over the RFM, which is 100, would give you 0.35. So the final answer would be 0.35 moles of calcium carbonate. Another question that we could do is how many moles are there in 125 grams of carbon? So if we check the relative atomic mass of carbon, it is 12. So we do moles is equal to the mass, which is given in the equation, which is 125 in this case, over 12, because that is the ram of carbon. Then the answer would be 10.42. And the unit would be moles of carbon. So continuing our topic, if you want to now find the mass but not the moles, then this is the equation you would need. You would need mass is equal to moles times RFM. You would need this equation. So if we're giving this question, how many grams are there in 42 moles of neon? And if we check the periodic table, ram of neon would be 20. So we would do mass times 42, which is the number of moles because we are following this equation. And if ram of neon is 20, then you would multiply that to 42, and that would equal to 840 grams of neon. If we could try another question like this one, how many grams are there in 5.67 moles of carbon dioxide? And if we check the periodic table, the RFM of carbon dioxide is 44. So if we follow this equation again, and we are finding the mass, then it would be equal to mass equal to 5.67, because it is mentioned in the equation there are 5.67 moles of carbon, and you multiply that by RFM of carbon, which is 44, then it would equal to 24948 grams of carbon dioxide. So the final answer would be 249.48 grams of carbon dioxide.